Okay, hi guys, hello everyone. I hope you all are doing great. Let's see. Let us meet all the people who have joined in live. So we have Ashutosh, Prisho, Yashwant, Sapna, many interesting people. Good evening to all of you. I hope you all are excited about the session and we will be proceeding ahead. I'll just quickly drop back with another screen share. All right, there you go. Cool. Let us see. So, guys, you all have the attendance link sorted. You have the place from where you can get the your certification, all the assignments. The link are being shared right on the chat. So make sure that you take it right from there, and we will begin from where we are left with. Right? Okay. Cool. Now I'll just quickly share back my screen. I'm not sure if the screen is being shared. Let me once again go ahead and share a window. I think it's causing problem if I share the entire screen. Let us check. All right, you have my browser right in front of you. Okay, so I'll just quickly want to talk to you about one basic thing in Python, which is libraries. How do we import them? That is the goal, and I'll just quickly walk you through the entire agenda. What exactly are we supposed to do? So see, the goal is that today, first, we will start with functions in Python, what they are, how can we create them. We will solve some interesting problems related to function. And once that is done, we will move ahead with libraries. So, what are libraries in short? Okay. So libraries are nothing but Python files in itself. Okay. So you write a programming code, you store that code somewhere, and now you want to reuse that code. That could be converted into a library or a module. Okay. A library consists of multiple modules. Suppose today I create a function which can say create maybe a window for me. Okay. A house. Suppose we are constructing a house and I want to create a window. So I'll create a function that can, or I'll create a code that can create a window for me, and I'll store that. The next file I will create is that file or that code can create a door for me. Okay, I'll store it, and the next file which I will create walls for me, can do some RCC structure for me, can do flooring, tiles. I can create like 10, 15, 20 different modules. These are known as modules, right? Modules in programming language are nothing but small scripts or code or a programming file that can solve one particular task. And when I compile all of them, I can put them in one package known as a library. And a library can do a lot of things. Suppose I can create a library to create houses, right? So this library will have many features like create windows, create doors, do tiling, do the floor work, plumbing work. Okay, so that's the notion of what exactly is the library supposed to be. We will get back to you, Mr. Baba, that what exactly is the Drive link. So Google Drive link that I've shared with you, please download that CSV. We will be using that sheet to understand Pandas library. Okay, that's the use case of it. All right. Now, ahead of it, we will just go back to the quick thing that I have explained you what exactly our library is supposed to be and what modules are supposed to be. Now, in order to create modules, you need to have some good understanding of functions and then object-oriented programming. So we will lay the foundation of functions today in this call itself. Okay. I just wanted to show you how does a library look like. Suppose if I type pandas over here, so the top Google search which delivers me is pandaspydata.org. Okay, there are many different libraries that you can download and work around with. One is Pandas. I can also search for Flask. So if I go for Flask, you will see the top Google search is giving me the Flask library. Okay, it is a framework basically. Next I can go for is PyAudio, something like that. There are many libraries. Google will simply launch me to this libraries which I want. Okay, and So this pypiorg is the place where all the libraries are maintained and you can download them. I can in fact search for pandas over here. So pandas in itself is delivered right over here. So powerful data structure library, I'll just click on it. So this is the company logo who have created pandas, and this is how you can install it using the pip installing package, or you can simply download the library itself from the download options available, right? But we will come to it. We will boil down slowly to the library level. First, let us go back, and the idea is then we should be able to first create some functions to begin with, right? So that's the prime goal that we will try to solve today. Again, so to create small functions, you will have to first understand basically how functions are created or are made. Simply put in Python, okay, a Python programming language. How do you can do it? So you can create functions basically not just in Python, but you can create functions basically in any programming language. Okay, so I'll go back. Let us go back to the Python. I'll just share back my VS Code and let me know if the screen comes up well on and everything is visible. All right, I'll share back my screen. Now let us just check if my screen is visible. Okay, and yep, I can see that my screen is back live. I have my Jupyter notebook loaded. You could code it anywhere you want. Again, if someone who doesn't have a IDE for now, or a VS Code, or any programming software for now, you can simply use even Google browser search that I want to do Python programming online or Python compiler online, and you are good to go with it. Okay, all right. So, see again, yeah, Rajguru, I've explained this yesterday also that yes, you can get a job just by knowing Python. And apart from that, I'll give you assignments on my own, Raj Shergill. Tomorrow is the day when you will build a live project with me. You will do some hands-on coding. Then I'll give you some assignments for your self-learning and improvement. Now, Rajguru, your question that what libraries are important to get a job will depend upon what kind of job do you want to do. For example, if you want to do engineering, so what kind of engineering, what kind of mastery in the engineering do you want to achieve? If you want to go for backend engineering, it is important in Python that you learn frameworks like Django. If you want to go for data analysis, basically you can move ahead and try to learn Pandas, Numpy, visualization libraries, Matplotlib, softwares like Tableau, visualization tools. That will be helpful. If you want to go for cybersecurity, that's another career. You want to go front end, that's another career. So depending on where you want to go, you will have to choose your library. Okay. All right. And as the team is mentioned to you that there is no compulsory assignment for this 3 days marathon. It will be more like that. I will give you some guidance. I will give you some more stepping stones that what after the third day you should plan or you should do. I'll give you assignments in that term that you will be able to map some more study for your own. Okay. Now, if you all have covered the yesterday session, I gave you some important guidance from where you should learn Python, even if you want to do it on your own. Anytime you're welcome to companies like LetsUpgrade. We especially have curated program where we will do the spoon feeding, and all you have to do is just make sure that you attend the lectures, right? And we have self-paced lectures. We have tutors that can help you fix you the places where you feel stuck. So moving ahead with that, let us go ahead and I'll just quickly check the comments and all look good. I'm not missing anything. Yep. All right. No, recession won't end probably by this year, but 2025 does look good. Of course, that's true, and job opportunities will be there. Okay. Now, in order to create a function, first let us understand what a function is supposed to be. So, a function is like a machine. Okay, so we learn comments. I'll write over here. Function is like a machine. Okay, what does machine do? Machine has a well defined input and output it is supposed to work on. Okay, example could be any machine. Okay, say a ceiling fan, okay, takes electric current as input, right? And generates, you can say, rotation of blades as output, right? That is a machine, and it is very well defined. Tomorrow, if you do not have electricity supplied to the motor of the fan, you cannot expect it to work. You cannot try to motivate it. So tomorrow, even if you bring Sandeep Maheshwari and you try to motivate the fan to work just by dialogues or through your speech or through your voice or through your words, the fan won't work. It's not a living thing. It doesn't have sense of, it is a dead thing, and it is a programmable thing which only takes input which is defined to work on. So in programming language, suppose if I'm creating a function that will work with integers only, so that function can never work with other data types like JSON or Boolean, or maybe like you passed it a list or you passed it something else. No, that will not do it. Well, of course, Amkar, I agree with you. Quota students are made of different, you can say, soil. They can work even without, they don't need any motivation, right? They are Sandeep Maheshwari in their own sense. So moving ahead, interesting. This is the way you should keep the comment section light and fun to proceed with. And I also try to adjust in the sense that I try to be a little more subtle in a way that when I'm teaching, I try to make examples which are much more, you can say, relatable. So, a ceiling fan, everyone can reach it out. You can understand what a machine is supposed to be. For fun fact, you must have heard the complete definition in Three Idiots, the movie, that what a machine is, right? And well, in short, machine is nothing but takes input, produces output, and that's what functions are. Functions are like machines. So let us make it functions are like machines. So how do you create a function in Python? So the syntax is we use def. Def stands for definition. That's how I like to understand it. So or you can define a function with def keyword. Def is a word for it. The syntax is your function name should be here preceded with a semicolon. So suppose you have to create a function that does what? Uh, Say a fan function. Okay, I'll create a fan. Okay, I'll create a function by the name fan, and then there are parentheses which go into it, round brackets. This is the syntax. What does this round bracket mention is that is there any input that you will pass to the function should be mentioned over here. Inputs come in over here. Okay, so this is the primary syntax that you will follow. For now, whenever you are creating a function and by mistake, just how I ran the code, it will throw error because you cannot leave functions unattended. Okay. Uh, so for that, you'll have to create a keyword known as pass, which means that Python will understand, okay, that for now you have not finished writing the function, but you're writing a pass keyword, which means you will create this function later on, and you will see that you will get a success mark by using the pass keyword. But for now, my function is pretty straightforward. I'll write it in just one single line. Input, I'll take one input, and if I'll write a command, if input is equal to. So this is one comparative operator. Double equal to means if it is exactly equal to. If input is equals to electric current, okay. Let me use it as it is. Only then print fan started, okay. Else we will use an else loop to say invalid input. So this is the idea of a function, how it's supposed to work. By default, is the input of string data type? Well, no. By default, the input of a function is null. It doesn't expect any input to begin with. Okay. Input are defined by us. We define what the input is supposed to be. It could be anything. We will define it. Okay. Let me once complete the function. It says okay, it's a valid function. The Python has read it now. So now if I run fan and I pass it say with water, and if I try to run it, it will say invalid input. I cannot start a fan with this. Okay, and now if I do electric current and if I run it, it will say fan started. Okay, so I hope you all are getting the idea that how it is supposed to work. So this is the input which I am passing to it, right? So a function can have multiple inputs if you write it like that. Say input one, comma input two, comma input 3. And now if I run this code once, and now if I try to run the below cell which is fan with electric current, it will throw me an error that it was expecting a little more arguments. Okay, fan is missing two required positional arguments, which is input 2 and input 3. So this is how you can take an idea that whatever function you are creating, the number of inputs that you are defining a function to take, it will expect those inputs. Let's pass few inputs like 1 comma 2. I'm passing integers, I can pass string. Until unless these inputs are being used, the function won't mind. Okay, all right. So I'll have to change to input 1 in the program also, right? Using the if loop, it should be input 1 now. I'll update it and now I will run it and you see fan started. So what is happening is I'll break down this code to you. So the first agenda is how do you define a function? Okay, a function is defined by def uh, keyword and the function name. In the parentheses, you defined how many inputs will your function take. Okay, you should only define the number of inputs that your function will take. For us, input one is more than enough. But for the sake of demonstration, I am taking more than one input, and I'm showing you over here that when you call that function, this is the function call. Okay, I'll write over here we can reuse the function by calling it. So I can call a function as many times as I want, 100 times, 1000 times, up to me. It is a reusable component now. And this is how modules are made. Okay, modules are made using functions only, right? You create different functions, you do different programming, you write scripts, and that's how you make them. Okay, water, and let us say sound, and try to hit it. Functions called three different times. Okay, so can we use input of some data type of choice without initializing before? By default, is the input of string data type? Can we use input of some data type of choice without initializing before? Yes. So there is a provision in functions. If I'm trying to get what you're trying to say, you can by default hard code an input. Say for example, if I say input three is hello. Okay. So sometimes when I do not pass input 3, it will still work. Why? Because it will say, okay, I got the first argument or the first input as 1. Input 1 is equals to sound. Input 2 is equals to integer 1. Input 3 is missing. So in that case, I have been instructed to use hello as the default. Okay. So I'll just try to print also. Print input 3 is equals to comma input 3. Okay, even in the case where it goes to the else loop, I'll print it over there. I'll hit this function once and now let me hit this function and you will see input 3 is equals to 2 in the first function call. Input 3 is equals to still integer 2 in, or like string 2 in the second function call. In the function call 3, input 3 equals to hello. So this is how by default you can initialize an input to a static value or to a fixed value that you want it to be. Even if we say input 2 is equals to 7 or 8, it will still not mind if you pass string 2, okay, or string 10 over here. Let us say 10, where we want to pass it. By default, it will be taking that function calls. Okay. So with that being said, the idea is that you can create functions like this, and this is how functions are supposed to work. Now, can we use input? Okay, and if this part is clear, how we can create functions, we will proceed to another understanding of functions then. Functions are not only limited to do print things, right? They can also return us some value after processing. So let us create a function to do sum. I'll take say integer 1 comma integer 2 as input, and what I'm trying to do is I'll try to create an integer 3 which will store the addition of these two integers, integer 1 plus integer 2. Okay, and then rather than printing integer 3 here, which I can do it pretty much like this, and if I call sum and I pass two variables to it, it will give me output as 5. What I can do is I can also make a function compatible to return me the values which I want to use it later. I'll use the return command, and what I have to return is integer 3. Okay, and for that I'll have to create a variable which will catch the return. So let's create a variable is equals to sum of 2 comma 3, and then maybe I will print a separately over here, maybe in a different column. So once I use this, you see I'm not printing anything, but now if I print 8, I have stored value 5 in a variable like this. So functions or modules, they can be used to return us values, and we might not always want to print values, we might want to use them in different form, right? So that is one thing that you should understand. Suppose if I have to extract a name from a text, from an image, so first thing would be I will have to create a function that can extract text from images. So in that case, I'm not printing anything. I'm just creating a function which will do the OCR for me, or it will extract text from the image and return me the text. On the text, I will do some post processing. I'll try to extract the nouns, and once nouns are extracted, I'll then try to print the return it, right? So no, not exactly that the print and return work in the same way. Print, what it does is print will only print the value and terminate, whereas return will make sure that it takes back the value to your variable. Okay, so that's the idea. And with that being said, you can understand that if I am simply putting print over here, it will just print me the value, okay, but not store it in a variable. So the only use of return is when you want to store things in a variable for me. Okay, that's what I can do with that. Now, with that being said, I'm storing values like this, and this is how it is supposed to work for me. Now, okay, so I hope Ravi's cast doubts are clear. People are doing well enough with this. Perfect. Now, with this being said, it looks all good. Great. So now we will start with some problem solving. Okay, we will try to create some functions. I'll make sure that you take this course or module in a live fashion, so you all can start up your IDEs, your Jupyter notebooks, your VS codes, or wherever you're coding. And I'll give you one problem statement. I'll give you 1 or 2 minutes to solve it. I'll be interacting with the chat meanwhile, and let us see how many of you can try to create a function on your own. So create a function which will take the integers as input and return the greatest integer. All right, so there you all go, people. You are all live in a live stream. You all are doing Python coding. You are trying to improve your skills. This is a chance. Proceed. Go ahead. Try to take a minute before I give you the solution and try to find the largest of these numbers. All right. So basically, Omkar, Python doesn't by default uh, understand what integer 1 and integer 2 are supposed to be. It is when in the next line do you see where we are calling the function we are passing integers to it. So the first thing is integer, which is how it will understand. Okay, int one has to suppose it is supposed to store an integer. It is as good as like you are declaring somewhere int one is equals to two. Every time you are doing this in a by default mechanism. Okay, this is happening. So tomorrow if I pass string, so for Python int one is supposed to be a string now. Tomorrow if I pass true over here, it is supposed to be a boolean. Tomorrow if I pass a list over here, it is supposed to be an empty list as int one. So whatever I pass in the function call becomes the default data type that it is supposed to take in the input. Right? That being said, yes. So I guess, Mr. Tendulkar, you're on the right path. We can define a function to do that. Let us go ahead and define it. Define a function, find great text, and by default it will take three values, say x, y, z. This will be my variable names. And if x is greater than y. What does this mean? That I am taking three numbers, right? It could be any random numbers. So if my x is greater than y, then it means that now the competition is between x and z. If x is greater than z, so in this case, if this both if loop, you see how if loops are nested. And remember, Python is sensitive to indentation, which means that when you take an enter, it will take a tab spacing or once a general spacing, which it will follow in a straight line. So one straight line it is following for a def over here. If you're starting a loop, then it is following another straight line. Whatever in the straight line is not in that loop, right? If something has to go in the loop, there has to be some more space to begin with. So in the if loop, there is one more if loop which says that okay, if x is greater than y, which means x is already defeated y, and if x is greater than z, which means x is the contender, we will print x comma is the greatest. Okay. Now, if x is not greater than y, so in that case, it is pretty much sure that z is the winner. Why? Because x already defeated y, and if x cannot defeat z, z is the winner, right? So we will just simply use this. We will do print z is greatest. Okay. Now, in that case, elif will say y is greater than z. Okay. So in this case, what we will have to do is we will just have to simply print a y comma greatest, because if x cannot defeat uh, y and y can defeat z, then y is the only champion. Or else we will simply go here and we will just simply print z is the greatest. This is the simple function that I'll try to create with simple if and else loops. So if I initiate this function, I'll try to call it find greatest x is y, y is 5, and that is 4. I call this function 5 is the greatest, okay, which means it is working fine. If I call 7 over here, 7 is the greatest, which means it is working fine. If I call 10 over here, 10 is the greatest, which means it is working fine. So this is the idea of creating any functions, and modules comprise of your functions or scripts that you write, and they are supposed to do particular tasks. Like for example, we have created a machine right over here. This machine can find the greatest values. So tomorrow, if I pass true over here and I run it, basically it will be able to compare between the operators, but there is always a limitation for it to do. Suppose if I pass string over here, it will say error because this comparative operator is not supported between string and integer. So your functions will fail at points where they are not compatible to work on. Your function will never understand this, right? Even if I pass 10 like this, it will not work, right? So understand your functions correctly, how they're supposed to work. They only work with the kind of things that you expect them to work on. All right, that's great. Uh, I hope that's interesting. Bit function printing. Yep, yep, that's correct. All right, uh, perfect enough. So now we can try to create one more interesting function, which is create a function which will find the greatest, which will print envelope. Okay. Again, a very interesting function. I sometimes ask this question in interview. Okay, for basic Python test, this is something that I pick up. If freshers are joining us in the company, I prefer to ask them questions like this. Okay, let us create a function by the name of table. Okay, and it is supposed to take one integer as input, right? So say, or I just simply say I as the input. What it's supposed to do is, okay, let us define iterator. So I'll just simply say count equals to start from one. Okay. So while count is less than uh, 11, which means it will go up to 10, I'll simply print. Uh, I'll take the value right over here, which is your number I, let's say multiplied by the value in count, right? So count over here. So remember, I'm using a format f string, which will take curly brackets, and whatever inside the curly bracket is a variable. So variable I will be something that you give to me. Say if you pass I as 7, so it will be like 7, and current value of count is 1. So 7 ones are, I will say equal to, and I'll do one more operation over here, which is I multiplied by count. Okay. So it will print me 7 ones are 7 multiplied by 1. And after this, I should increment the value of count basically. Okay. So count, I simply write it like this, count is incremented by 1. Okay. Or there are different ways to do it, like plus equal to 1 will also work, but I'll make it a little more simple. The count is equals to count plus 1, which means the current value of count is equals to current value of count is 1 plus 1, which means count is updated to 2. And this is how it's supposed to work. So let us save this function. Let us try to call this function table of 4. Let's try to hit it, and there you go. We have a table of 4 right in front of us. So again, this is an interesting way that you can create functions, and now this small function can help you create any table you want, right? So even if I want tomorrow a table of say 432, and there you go, I have a table of 432 right in front of me within fractions of second, right? Why? Because it is programmed that way, right? It is programmed to give me a table up to 10. Uh, Whatever you want, engineers can make it. You want the table to go till 20, no problem. It's less than 21, updated. There you go, this is your table till count of 20. Okay. So programming is really interesting. Trust me, the more you do code, the more you will love it, and because it is all about solving challenges. So if you have that knack of solving or challenging your own self to do things creatively, to do things, solve problems. If you're a problem solver, you are in the right track, you're in the right career, and you're learning great things on which you can basically evolve into a very good programmer, right, at some point. So again, the idea is like this, right in front of you, and yeah. So, okay, let us say what's happening. Will give error if x is equal to y and go the greatest number for y. Yeah. Yes, of course. So in that case, this program will fail, and you're correct over there. So for now, I tried to keep it a little simple. What you can do is then you will have to fix those conditions also. That if what if both numbers are equal, right? Then that can also come in the elif loops that if x equals to y or y equals to z. But for now, for the sake of demonstration, we will keep the program little simple and clean. Okay. Now, with that being said, okay, this is one again interesting function to proceed with it, right? Now, I'll solve one more interesting function for you, in which I'll also show you one uh, way you can split strings also, right? So this is my interview favorite question, and trust me, people with 6 years of experience in different domains who are switching to still in IT, switching to Python failed to solve this problem for me. Like people have failed so much frequently that now I feel that this is something that I like to teach you. That it's a very simple problem, nothing big with it to worry about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I give you such an input. I need you to create a function. Create. Okay, I'll write over here. Take a string of integers as input and return lists of couple like this. Okay. So for input A, the output is equal to something like this. Okay. So a list of tuples 1, 2, comma 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6. Okay. But you have to solve if you get a function that let us call it R function, or let's call it converter function. It takes a single string as input. Okay, IP. What it does it. I like to explain you separately for my right password here with this path. Suppose A is equals to I will just say print A. You will see A is nothing but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now there is a built-in function in string which is a split. So split takes an argument that on what thing do you want to split. So if I write 3 over here, it will try to find literally it will try to find a character which is 3, and you see there is one 3 in the string, and it will split it on that 3. Okay, I'll have to convert it to string first. If I pass it, you see it has separated the list. There's a comma in between over here, right? So I can show you how it has separated list from two different places. Okay, comma dash in, comma first vector. You can see that these are the two different splits that have happened because of that split that we are using. Okay, on three. So what if I want to split now only on white spaces, which is like just empty spaces between them? So I'll just put an empty space. You see there is one empty space between these two apostrophes, right? Between the inverted commas, there is an empty space which I am putting and I want to split on it. So when I run this code, you see I'll get splits like this. Okay, and let me store it somewhere for now. Okay, say a modified is equals to I'm splitting on it, right? Now let me try to print for you. A this is currently the state of my list. Okay. Count plus plus will throw you error because you should write count plus equal to one, not plus plus. Okay. If you plus right format. Right. Alright. So with that being said, now we can try to loop into this list, right? Yesterday we saw how to loop into this list. So for our value in a underscore, I will show you how this value is working, right? If I print value, it is taking one thing at a time. But now if I want to see the type of the value which I'm getting, right? So they are all strings. I will have to convert it into integers. So what I will do is I'll try to do the typecast which I told you yesterday, which is I'll convert strings supposed to be into integers. And now when I search for their type, you'll be able to see they're all integers now. Okay. So with that being said, I'll leave it over here and I'll give you one more interesting feature about the list. So print type of a underscore. It is a list, right? So what we can do with list is list has an interesting feature known as len, which is length of list. How many elements it carries? It carries six elements. One, two, three, four, five, six, right? That's elements in the list. So it gives a count of how many elements are there in this particular list, right? There are six different elements in this list. So length can use that. Okay, and there is one more function known as range. It's a by default function range. So when I use for I in range of, I'll say 0 to 10, okay, print I. So you see by default it takes one value at a time, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Range can take one more argument which is known as step, like starting from. So what exactly is range supposed to be? A range is supposed to be a function which defines your start index, from where do you want to start the count, where do you want to end the count, and the step. Okay, so these are the three things which define the range. Third function is optional because by default they have created function with like this. Step is equals to 1. By default they have created a function like this, but if you specially pass a step, it will take step as 2. Okay. So what it is supposed to do, range will start from 0 and it will count till the end point on the steps. So if I take a step as 2, from 0 it will do plus 2, which is 2, from 2 plus 2 4, from 4 plus 2 6. It will take steps like this. If I do 3, it will go from 0 to plus 3 3, 3 to plus 3 6, 9, and it goes out of range 12, right? You won't print it. So what I can do is I can start from 0, but if I want to make my program to more dynamic, I can use the length function of a underscore. So this is my end. Okay, this something that I'm highlighting with my mouse. It is the end, right? So this is the end, and 0 is the start. So between 0 to 6, I want to print I. So see what I we are getting. We are getting I as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that is one more thing that you can do. Okay, so we are getting I like this. Now if I want to print tuples, see what I can do is I can use I plus 1. Now I'll tell you what will happen. Okay, so in the very first loop it will start with I is equals to 0 and it will print I plus 1. Okay? So okay, I can just try to add a break function to just print one line of it, and you will see that 0 and 1 is the first output. Okay, now in the second time what it will do is, for the second time now I will be 1, right? It will print 1 comma 2. uh, Third time it will be 2 comma 3, fourth time it will be 4 comma 5, uh, 5 comma 6. But when I becomes 6, there will be a problem that I plus 7, it can show 7, right, which was not in our input. I'll show you how the complete input will look like. See, so this is the idea. Like it starts from 0, but basically, in this case, the problem is that we do not want a 0. We do not want a 0 or a 7 to come in. In our case, we are starting from 1, hence it is causing a problem. But if I change the range from 0 to 1, see what will happen is, now I have 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6. Okay. So this is the kind of thing that I was expecting, right? So sometimes you have to play around with the range, right? You do not want a 0, you do not want something like, say, 7. So this is pretty much what exactly initially we want. We want 1, 2, we want 2, 3, we want 3, 4, we want 4, 5, we want 5, 6. So we are getting it. Now we need to create a list somewhere to store this value. Okay, so let us create output list, which will be an empty list. Okay, and rather than printing it, what we will do is we will do output dot append. We will start storing this value as tuples in the list. Okay, and once this equation is covered, we will print output. And you see, this is the output that we wanted. There are no more strings; they are integers, and in this sequence. So again, this is something that I'm trying to give you much more variety of things Today you are also learning split. You must have already learned append. You are learning range. You are practicing more of the loops. And you are creating different functions. You are going everywhere and trying to get you more acquainted with programming by solving different problems. So now let us boil down to a point that okay, we have enough understanding of Python. We understand syntax, we understand how Python works, we understand basically all the things that are needed to be a fresher in Python. Now it is a good time that we can start learning about different libraries. Okay, so the libraries that we are trying to study are Numpy and Pandas. So these libraries are pretty much good for data science and AI domain. Okay, now, we all must have heard and learned about matrices in school and college that something like matrices something look like this, right? If I'm not wrong, 2, 4, 5, and 6, 0, 9. So this is one matrices. Can you tell me what is the dimension of m cross n? What is the value of m cross n? Put it in the chat quickly, people. I want to understand from you how many of you understand the concept of matrices, and if you can tell me how many rows and columns are present over here, right? I'll be looking into the chat quickly and let us see what are people trying to comment for M%. Interesting. I think many of us are in the correct domain. All of you doing phenomenal job. N cross N is 3 cross 3. There are 3 rows and 3 columns in this matrices. So once you understand this, I think if you have the understanding of matrices, you're good to go with the NumPy basics because NumPy is a library that specializes on the arrays, and arrays are pretty much similar to that. Hence, it is the personal favorite library of people who work with mathematics a lot, people who work with statistics a lot, people who are into research, into science, into PhDs, into data science, into Python, into programming. They need to understand this library. Okay. So this library offers a lot of things which you can do with linear algebra, with the arrays. You can combine them, integrate them, do a lot of things based on it. It is more like a scientific computing pattern, right? NumPy. That's what it's supposed to be. So NumPy, if you try to learn from, say, from the Google sources, NumPy has a lot of features, but I'll try to cover a few of the most important features, or few of the essential features that as a data scientist or as a learner you should know. I'll make sure that in the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you know enough NumPy that can get you a job if you only have to do NumPy. All right, so we will begin with that. First thing is we have to import NumPy as a package. So this is how you import libraries. Okay, so I'll make a note over here how libraries are imported in Python. So we will first talk about the concept of how libraries are imported. Okay. So first thing is that you need to understand one thing. When we install Python on our computer, it is installed at some location, right? Probably C users, username, system, and program files somewhere. The Python is installed in your hard disk or in your storage, right? It is stored somewhere. So whenever you install any package using pip, which is a installer, it is this pip is an installer which you can use uh, to install libraries. It will store this library at some point. Okay, it will store the library in the default path. So if I have to import NumPy, it will import NumPy from where my Python is running, right? So that is the most important thing. Uh, need to understand that wherever we are installing Python, wherever we are storing it, the packages are also stored over there. Okay, so let me just try to do. Let me just try to find the path into system. I'll say print path, and you will see that C users Gaurav OneDrive document let's upgrade session C program file windows Python software foundation. This is the place where the Python is installed. Okay. So if you are interested, you can try to go to this place, especially this third one, and you will see that you check because of the file. Yeah, yeah, I think this is roughly. This is the place where you can find app data local Microsoft Windows app Python software. This is where your Python is located. And whenever you install any function, you can import it from there. Okay. So I'll just for demonstration purpose, I'll try to do something. Okay. This is even if you do not catch with it, it is fine. Okay. Just look at my screen, try to understand how I can create my own libraries. First, I will try to teach you that how you can create a library. And Numpy is not a magic. Pandas is not a magic. It is a Python file that someone has created and you can use it. You can create your own libraries if you want. So I'll try to create one library for your own. Okay. First, I'll try to check from where is my um, current terminal firing. Was dot get current working directory. Okay. It is currently firing in this Let's Upgrade session folder only, which is right over here. Okay, this is the folder here. So I'll create one library right over here. I'll try to store it. Okay, and create new file. I'll call it. What do I call it? YouTube live. Okay. Uh, .py. Now remember, someone who created NumPy must have named this file as numpy.py. Okay, I am creating my library by the name of YouTube Live. Okay, what does my YouTube Live do is it has a function. Okay, I'll define a function over here to do sum. Okay, it takes integer one, comma integer two, and it returns uh, integer one plus integer two. That's what it does. I'll just save it. I have saved it. Okay, so if I have to import it as a library, so I can import it something like from live. What is my function name? From. You can import it like this. So you see, I have created one library and I have imported a function from it. Okay, and I can do sum of. See, it is giving me some of the. This is how we load libraries. We can create our own libraries and we can load them. They are known as modules basically, not libraries. They are known as modules. uh, but libraries are compiled of modules. So when I will write import, I can import YouTube Live over here. Okay. I can import YouTube Live, which is my library. Similarly, I can import NumPy over there. So this function will work for me because NumPy is installed. Okay, but for many of you, NumPy cannot be directly installed. So for that, what you will have to do is, whenever you want to work with the library, we first have to install the library. So if you are using Jupyter or Google Colab or a notebook, exclamation mark is needed. If you are not using Colab or notebook, you're directly into the VS Code, you are firing it from a terminal, exclamation mark is not needed. You'll have to write pip install numpy. Okay, the package name that you want. So pip is the installer and install is the command to install which package you want to install. So when I hit it, it will try to install this package for me. Okay, so format shows requirement already satisfied because numpy is installed. I can also try to uninstall the library and then it will try to uninstall the library from where it had stored on my local file. Okay, so it is as good as deleting my library by into drive. I will just simply delete it. So it is gone now from my drive. Okay. So that's how it works. It is currently uninstalling the library, and you all can just quickly follow it. Naveen, the buzz could be because currently I'm training the machine learning model. So all my rig is currently blowing out a lot of fan noise. Unfortunately, that's the thing that we're working with. You can just quickly have a glance, if possible, that there are multiple computers running in like one, two, three of them, and they are all getting different noises. So with that being said, wasting a little bit time, I'll just quickly stop it. Just click install Numpy once. Check where we are with installation. If it says package already found, very good. Now, how many of you are able to install Numpy? Anyone having difficulty? Chat is the place. I'm looking into it. I can always get that. So now I will just simply say import NumPy and my package should work fine. That should show me a green status, a success status, that okay, we are able to import NumPy without any difficulties. Okay, so now we will try to see features of NumPy that we can use. So the very first feature we're going to talk about is that using NumPy we can create some random integers as array. Okay, NumPy can create array of random integers. This is helpful when you want to create some dummy data. Okay, this is a really helpful feature that you can use. So I'll just simply try to store multiple lines. So now the next thing is suppose I'll tell you one interesting thing that suppose my name is my complete name is Gaurav Deep Singh Lote. Okay, and usually people in company do not prefer to call or write such a lengthy name for me. They just simply call me GD. Okay, that's the shortcut that they use for me. It's more convenient, but it is nowhere a hard and fast rule that GD should be my like the only name, right? It is a name that I like to call or someone like to call like that. Okay, so import numpy as np. If I write this command, same thing is happening over here. Whenever I'm coding, I would not like to write numpy altogether. I would just simply write np, and my program to understand np stands for numpy. I would have also mentioned over here n1. Okay, and it will simply understand n1 means numpy. Okay, whatever you want to call it. NumPy has this interesting feature in the random module. So random is a module in NumPy. See, I told you how a library is composed of modules. So NumPy is like a folder, okay? And when I do dot random, it is a file in that folder. So in the library, there is a module by the name of random, okay? In that random, there is a function by the name of rand int, which is random integer. Okay, so I would like to break down this hierarchy for you. First is like the library name dot module name dot function name. Okay, this is how it works, and this would have worked for our custom library also, right? How I had written from YouTube Lite, since I deleted that file, it won't work anymore. To import sum, and then I had written sum of 3 comma 4. I could have also written something comparable like this, that import uh, YouTube Live and YouTube Live dot the function name sum and then 3 comma 4. Okay? So this is how what we are writing on the top makes sense to you. That numpy is the library name. Dot random is the file name or the module name. In that there is a function by the name of random integer. So what random integer does is it takes an input. Say we need 5 integers. Okay, up to 5 random integers. Five say like equals to 4, and we say print a for us. Okay, numpy we okay. So you will see these are some random integers generated for the length of 4. The maximum that the integer can go is up to 5. If I run this file again, it will again give me some random values. See 3, 4 number. Again if I do 2, 4 value. So this is an interesting feature through which NumPy you can generate the random integers as an array. You can also specify the size of the array. Now, random integer doesn't just rest over here. It goes far beyond it. You can not just create arrays. You can create multi-dimensional arrays. For example, I mentioned 5 over here. Okay, I can mention the range also. Like say I'll give one dimension over here. Say 2 comma 5. So the minimum value it can start from is 2, and the maximum value it can go for is 4. So I can also give the minimum start range, maximum start range. I'll also break down that for you over here. That first we start with minimum value, max value, okay, comma size. Now we can also do dot choose. You can also go for say a matrix rather than a one-dimensional array. We can create multi-dimensional array. For example, I'll try to print it over here. Copy. Okay. Now the size would be I want to create say a 3 comma 3 matrix. Okay, this is the size of the matrix. That's it. Okay. And you can see it is a two-dimensional matrix now. Okay, it has rows and columns in rows. I can further make it three-dimensional. Okay, it is a three-dimensional matrix now. Starts with three round brackets. Okay, so that is the most interesting thing to follow. So, any other doubt that we are facing for now? So, with that being said, let us proceed and understand random floats. That if you want that, how we can do it. So the idea is you just have to eliminate integer from the value and just keep it random. Okay, numpy random dot random is the function name, and you're good to go. Okay, the function are so we will do it. So this is how you can create floats around them. Okay, so this is again really interesting feature in Numpy that you can not only create the integer but work around with the floats also. Now one more interesting thing is that in Numpy you can create some more scientific arrays that you want. For example, if you want to create a matrices which is just of values 1 by default, okay, so you will have to do something like this, okay. So np is the package name. If I do once, it is again one more feature it has that you will only create a matrix which has 1 1 1 values every row. You will have to mention how much is the dimension that you want. So let me go for a 4 cross 3 as a couple. And you see I'll have a matrix of 1 like this. Similarly, I hope you all are aware of identity matrix. Let me hear in the chat that if any one of you knows what an identity matrix is supposed to be. Quickly, people in the chat, what is identity matrix? Okay, still waiting for the chat. So, identity matrix is supposed to be a matrix which has only diagonals as value, right? And of one, specifically. And all other values, upper triangle, lower triangle, are supposed to be zero. So if I want an identity matrix of 4, it will simply give an identity matrix, yeah, something like this, where the diagonal value will have 1 and nothing else. One more interesting feature that NumPy can do for us is known as a range function. So a range function is used to create array which are evenly spaced, right? For example, if I want array from starting from 0 goes till 10, so I can use just a range function. NumPy does a range is a function name. Let's say I get an array of length 10 and I'll have going from 0 to 9. I want an array of 11, I can have this array back in front of me. So you see, NumPy can create a lot of things related to arrays. And for someone who is interested to work with scientific computations or matrices or arrays, NumPy is a useful package for him, right? It has many useful predefined functions written into it, which can create things for him. Interesting, right? So again, it covers basically a lot of mathematical functions. Like, suppose if I want to full create a full matrix with just one single value, I can pass the matrix size and just the numbers. I just put five everywhere. So I'll have three cross rows, three rows and five columns, all populated with my. So that's really interesting, and it's a great package to work around with. So it can also help you flatten out some arrays if you want. So let us create one array. Say array one equals two. We will simply say numpy dot random dot random integers, and we'll spread it around. Say one max level of 10, and size as 5 comma 4. Do it. Let's get This is the random integer array that we have created. So NumPy has a feature known as Ravel. So Ravel can simply flatten down your matrix into one dimension, one single row. So array dot Ravel, if you pass it, and I told you that not all functions need input arguments. Okay, Ravel by default knows that what it has to do, and you just simply uncover the matrix like 7815 is the first row. Here it is 7815. Second row is 8636. Here it is 8636. There you. So again, you can pass one argument known as order. By default, it takes rows first, but if you pass F, which is known as total style, it will simply take down columns first. Okay. So rather than having 7815 as the first layer in the flattened matrix, you will take 78309 as the first layer. Okay, column wise. Okay, 7809. Next is 86918. 86918. So that's really interesting how you can do. In fact, not just flatten, you can reshape any matrix. Okay. So I'll just once again print array for you. This is your array. But you have to change the dimensions all around it. So it is currently in the shape of 5 cross 4. But I have to make it 4 cross 5. So I can just simply say print array dot reshape the function name. Make sure your row and columns are still compatible in the format, right? Like 5 rows are 20. So I can either make it 10 comma 2 will still work, but it's still 20. I can convert it and reshape the matrix to whatever form I want. Or I can make it 4 comma 5. I can make it 5 comma 4, okay, which is the original format that's displayed. Or I can create it in any format that interests me, comma 2 comma 10. So we want to reshape that. This is useful when we want to use the computation power of NumPy when it comes to scientific things. So there are a lot of things that you can do with the matrix, right? Transpose is again a very important function that people should know about when working with matrix. So see how our matrix looks like. I can just simply say dot transpose. It will simply transpose the matrix for you. So you see, like this, these are some of the things that work around. Yep, I see many people are interested and they are typically putting in the chat. You all are trying to absorb things which are running in front of you, and I hope the idea, because the idea of what library is supposed to be, the idea of how you can import it, idea of what modules are, what functions are, and how you can use them is clear to you. Yeah. All right. So with that being said, we'll proceed. And now you all can see there is a Google Drive link pinned to all of you. Okay. Yes. Okay. Priyanka, we can simply try to recap all of this. Okay. Um, I'll just give you one short idea. So modules are like folders. Okay. Sorry, the libraries are like folders in which you have code written. Okay. So suppose if I have a folder by the name of Numpy. Okay, this is a library, and inside this folder I have say different modules like random is a file name .py. Okay, and say some another module that the NumPy could have, right? So NumPy dot c dot py. Okay, so this could be some things. So right over here, what you see on top is known as library. Okay, and things that carry inside it are known as modules. Okay, and inside a module is nothing but a Python file which will have different functions. So how we try to create our own module is when we try to create that YouTube like file. So we have different functions like function to do some, function to do that. So all these are functions, right? So transport, reshape, these are different functions that are available in NumPy. NumPy has modules by the name of random, and in the random there are functions by the name of random integer, rand okay, or random.random. These are all different functions which exists inside a library or a module. So in short, library is nothing but it is a compilation of all different useful Python files compiled together. And each Python file is supposed to work on a specific task. Each Python file has related functions which you can use. So libraries are made to make things easy. Libraries are made to make you can say things reusable and to write less code and to do more of it. Okay. So with that being said, I think this is fair enough, and we are pretty good. Now, moving ahead, now you can check the uh, drive link that I've shared with you. The drive link, you should be able to download this CSV file. Okay, and place it at the place from where your current code is firing. So I'll tell you that where exactly is the current code firing. You can simply do code OS. This is one library. It is built in. It comes by default with Python. Okay, so it's always there. And OS dot get CWT, which is your get your current working directory. If you want, you can use Spring. If you are not using Linux, you can see where exactly are you firing from. C users forum and drive document get something. So you need to navigate to this folder, okay? And once you open this folder, you will have to save this file over there. Okay? Why I'm telling you this is because then it will become a little easier for you to import the file. Okay? And just to check the content, I can use os dot list directory function. It will give me what all things are available in the current uh, environment. Like I have file by the name of this. Okay, I have one file by the name of this. Okay, I have one PDF line over here, and I have this housing data CSV. So I just have to make sure that the housing data CSV available over here. If it is not a big deal, you can still import it. What I will have to do is I will simply have to paste the complete path of it. Okay. So file path is available which you will create. You can always use a R string to take the complete path. Okay. For example, I'll just try to demonstrate from my downloads. I'll go to my downloads folder, right click, copy path. Once I copy the path, I paste it over here. You'll see C users download copy data.csv. You can simply just paste the path over here. You will still be able to work around it. Okay. So, alright, just let me check if I can do something about the mic. I'll try to bring the laptop a little closer. If that can help, I'll try to change the mode to white mode. The fans can go down a little bit. Uh, and tomorrow for the session, I'll make sure that I have the correct gear, that is the microphone. That can definitely help me reduce the microphone for there. Okay. Now with this being said, just let me just quickly check if I have any microphone like now with me right now. It will definitely help. let me try to use this. If this can work, it will work wonders. Try to use this one. Okay, so just for the mic check, uh, let me know if you can give for the noise now. Okay. All right. Better now? Great. Okay. So, first of all, how will you know that which library has which functions and which you should use? So, as a fresher, as a beginner, we do not know that, right? So, once we pick up any field, say suppose you want to do data science, so naturally, in the data science curriculum, people will teach you the important libraries that you should know and their important functions. For example, now after this class, you know basically what NumPy is supposed to do and some of the important features like reshape, transpose, ravel or random integer, random int, arrange function, full function, I function, identity function, one function. What they're supposed to work is sure enough. Okay. And I'm not sure for DA role what is important to know in Python in coding important for this role. So how do we use language for real-time projects in companies? Okay, so first of all, Priyanka, if you want to understand how can you use the Python for company level is that first of all, uh, any company will create an end-to-end solution, and when you create end-to-end solution, you will not just simply write modules or libraries or functions or Python code, right? You will have to deploy it somewhere. See, for that you will also have to understand how internet works, right? How do you bring your code live on the internet? So just by using a browser, I can do www.yourcode.com and I can reach your website, I can reach your code maybe through App Store, through Play Store, or wherever you're hosting the solution, I can reach there, and through a mobile device or a computer device, I can access that code and I can interact and use it, right? So for that, in order to become company ready, along with programming, it is important that you understand a little bit about Dockerization, how containers work, and with Dockers, how can you create APIs is another task. So for that, in Python itself, you need to know what Django is and what basically a programmer does is it creates code which can be listed on online, hosted. Then there is DevOps. So there are different verticals that you need to understand. What I will recommend is Priyanka that Let's Upgrade always hosts the different live, you can say marathons in which they will completely teach you what are the different web hosting, web solutions, what is internet, and such basic topics are always being covered here and there. You can get in touch with Let's Upgrade specifically for your needs, and in one hood, under one hood, they will make sure that there is a complete full stack program also available with the Let's Upgrade, where all such technologies will be covered. Not just data science, we will make sure that you cover the complete hood of what a programmer is supposed to be. So that is something that you will need to do. And I wish you all the best. And you are on the right track to begin with, right? If you are here in this session, you're already in the correct place. And thank you so much, people, for the comment. I understand I was troubling you a lot with my voice, but now the voice is pretty clear. Coming back to the session, now that if you might have loaded the file path correctly, then it should not be a trouble to you. If you have placed the file correctly where from the notebook is firing, you just need to do this. You just need to do housing data.csv and you are good to go. Okay. Now for this task, what we will do is we will simply try to import pandas. So pandas is another library. It also uses Numpy internally. Pandas is built on top of that. So we will first have to use, let me just first store this file path variable at one point, add some more code lines. I'll do first pip install pandas. Okay, this is something that you will have to fire if you are running for the first time. I already have pandas with me. I'll just comment it first. Import pandas as PD. Okay, so again, by now you should know that we are importing a library and we will call it with a pet name PD. Okay, so that it is easy. Yes, Priyanka, I am the direct trainer for data science course. I have been teaching at LetsUpgrade for more than 2 years. You can definitely get in touch with the team, and they will make sure how you can be onboarded. All right. So moving ahead with import pandas as PD, let's move that once we have loaded the library, what is the next thing that we should do? So now pandas has a feature through which we can. So okay, first even before using pandas, let us try to understand what we understood what NumPy does. It is more about the scientific computation matrices. Pandas is more for data analysis. This is the most important tool as a data analyst. This is something that this is your daily bread and butter, this library. It does all the things that a Microsoft Excel or Google Sheet can do. Okay, all predictive analysis, all the information you need, column, rows, Excel sheet. Pandas is a thing for in Python. If you have to work with Excel sheets or CSVs, Pandas is a library to go for. So we will have to load the CSV, which is the Excel file. You can also open it with Excel if you want. How do we load it in Pandas? So the first thing is you will have to write a Pandas function to load it. So I will say a variable by the name of data. Data is equals to ed dot. There's a function. You see, if I write read, you see how many read function it has. Read HTML, read JSON, read FWF, read clipboard, read table, strata, Excel, and CSV. For now, my file is in the CSV format, hence I will read CSV and I'll have to pass the file path. So I'll pass the file path and there you go. This is the variable name that I'm passing. You could have also directly mentioned the string itself over here, no worries. And once it is done, let us see how the data looks like. If you see, this data has different columns: longitude, latitude, house median age, total rooms, and a lot of different things coming in like population, household, median income, ocean proximity. It is a data related to the properties. Okay. It is mostly available on the Kaggle website, California house data. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to understand how pandas has different functions that we can use. For now, our variable name is data. Okay, so we will be using the variable as the name of data. These are three important lines that will help you load the data. Now, once it is there, what we can do is uh, pandas has a built-in function. First, let us see what is the type of this data. So this data is a pandas frame known as data frame. So pandas likes to call a table as a data frame, okay? And inside data frame, there are many functions that are important that you can use. So few of the functions which can help you look into your data are known as head and tail. So data dot head is a function which can help you look into the data. Head by default prints only the first five rows, okay, for all the different columns, and this is how you can see what my data looks like. Uh, so by default, it takes rows value as five, okay. This is by default, but you can pass as an argument if you want to change something. I only need three rows, pass 3. I need 7 rows, pass 7. I need first 20 rows, pass 20, and I'll get first 20 rows of the column. What if I want to see the last end of the data? So that is where tail comes into. In fact, I would like to tell you, so there are like 20,639 rows. I like to tell you that pandas can tackle or handle many fold more rows than your Excel and Google Sheet can, right? These softwares have a limitation. They can only work for a few lakh rows, right? After that, they are dead. But pandas is made for huge amount of data, right? Lakhs and lakhs and lakhs of rows, they can be loaded here. Okay. So ideally you should want to see the head or the tail or like the start and the end of the data. And one of the most interesting and the most interesting feature that pandas offers is dot info. which will give you the information about your data column wise. Suppose if I write over here, do you see what this outputs me? It gives me first the data columns. There are total 10 columns available. Then a bifurcation of all of them. That column longitude has 2640 non-null values, which means this also helps me understand if there is any missing data in my column, right? And the type of this column, it is a float. If you look specifically at total bedrooms, some bedrooms have missing data, right? They are not 614 size, 433 only. So there are pretty much around like maybe like 200 around range of values which are missing over here. And this is a very important feature that it is giving me. Along with that, it also giving me data types like 4 are float 64, 5 are integer 64. Object is of one type. Object is mostly like string. You can see what is there in the ocean proximity. Strings, right? Island, 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 something like that. Now, if you do not want all type of information, just you want to check the d types. So d types is the function name. You can just simply run it, and you will have data type of each column printed in front of you. You can also check the size, dimension, and shape of your data just by doing data dot shape, and it should give you the amount that there are 10 columns and 20,640 rows into it, right? So that's interesting. Whereas if you only want to check the size of the rows, you can do data dot size. Okay, this is the size that it carries in terms of like how many rows are there in multiplied by columns. Okay, of course, the total number of things, elements present over here. So it is multiplication of this thing, right? One more interesting feature that works is, but it is more like a statistical summary feature. So Pandas, as I told you, is a data science package, and if you understand statistics, only then you will understand what is the difference between categorical variables and numerical variables. So if you are dealing with numerical data type, describe can work well over there. So do you just quickly realize that we have one variable which is of category type, ocean proximity? So describe won't help you with it, but describe will help you a lot with statistical analysis of your integers or floats. Right? Let us try data dot describe, and you see it has longitude, latitude, house, median, total rooms, bedrooms, population, that's it, but not the ocean proximity because it is categorical. And categoricals cannot have mean, median, standard deviation, 25th, 75th percentile values. The lowest value is minus 124, the maximum value is minus 114. That's the longitude and latitude, and it has housing median age right over here, things like that. You can so one more interesting feature that I would like to add, uh, which I should have added over top, is that we can see tail, we can see the head, but what if we want to see some random samples, not just from the top or on the bottom, but randomly from the data? So then there is data dot sample is the function to use, and in sample you can just simply pass that how many number of rows you want. So if you want 8 rows, randomly 8 rows will be picked from the data and they will be shown to you. Now, Pandas can also help you quickly understand where the values are missing. So, for example, data dot is null is the function name, and it can print booleans like if it is not null, it is false. If it is null, it is true. But we cannot visualize such large data, so ideally we use one more function known as sum, which can help us summarize things for us. That okay, bedroom has 207 missing points. Okay. So these are few interesting features. Pandas is not only about this. Pandas is much, much more in terms of this. It can also help you understand what kind of memory is your data using. So data dot memory usage wise, you can check the bytes which are being utilized by each column, each thing, largest values, smallest values. You can in fact slice your data frame, right? Okay, so That's also interesting feature. So I'll just simply try to tell you that you can slice data depending upon the index locations. That index location is I log. I need to only chunk. Uh, I need only row 1 to 4. Okay, and I need only column number 4 for it. So I'll add a comma over here. The first option is the row you want and the column you want. If I only give it one single row, I'm identifying one single entity. So 4 cross 4 pay, whatever it is, I'll just quickly print data dot head over here. Do you see first column name is actually the index location is 0, second column index is 1, third column index is 2, right? So this is the column number 2 is what? House median age. And zeroth row पे है 41, first row पे there is 21. So I need to print the first row of second column, and you see it is printing me 21. What if I want to print only one particular row? That is, I want to print the uh, first row, but 1 to 5th column, like 1 to 4th column. And you see, this is it. So this is how we can also slice things and do a lot of things. If you want this file, just a second, I'll quickly onboard it into Google Drive and share it with you. I'll give it to the streamer. Okay, just a second. I'll open up my Google Drive. Okay, I'll share this notebook with all of you. Make sure you download it by today itself because I'll put it on my drive and it can. Let me just add a few things over here. Okay, I'll just add this file. File upload. Yesterday's and today's both file are being uploaded. I'll change this drive permission so anyone with the link can download it now. So I have created a folder for all of you where you can download the files that we have worked on for today. Now, with this being said, I'll rest the discussion over here and get back to see the chat. Okay, there you go. The drive is available with you all. You can just click on it, download the files, and work on these interesting features. Okay. Now, again, we will rest the session here with just recap that we wanted to understand today what libraries are and how we can import it in a programming language like Python, and then basically how we can use NumPy or Pandas or what they are supposed to be. Your assignment or learning curve for today should be that you should go ahead, try to learn NumPy and Pandas on your own. Okay, so tomorrow will be an interesting day. Tomorrow we will try to do exploratory data analysis project, which means that using one CSV, we will try to do a task as a data analyst. Tomorrow we will do something that a data analyst does in their real life and they get paid for it. Okay. So with that being said, I hope things are all clear on your all side. It is shared. You can find the drive link. All looks good to me. Okay, great. So thank you so much, students, for taking the time for this live session, being here, bearing with me for this 2 hours, and I'm really inspired by all of you, the way you show inspiration to learn things. Okay, people, thank you so much. Bye bye.